Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today we're going to do the Turkish baklava pattern. It was very, very popular. However, the original language and pattern tutorial is in Turkish and it doesn't have English subtitles. So here I'm going to show you how to make it in English with some added improvements too. So it's basically a granny stripe, but with a color pattern change and carrying yarn. Alright, so for making it, you want to do, for your foundation chain, you want to chain a multiple of 3 and then add 1. So for the swatch, which I recommend you follow along doing, I'm just going to do 30 chains and then I'm going to add 1 at the end, so 3. Alright, there we have 30 stitches, and then I'm going to add 1 more stitch into that last one, and then make sure your chain isn't turning or rotating at all. Mine rotated a little bit, but it didn't twist entirely. So for our first row, we're just going to do all of our color 1 yarn, and we're going to do basically 2 double crochets in the 4th chain from the hook. So here we have 1, 2, 3, and then this 4th is where we're going to do our double crochets, and we're going to do 2 double crochets in here. Alright, so there we have our first cluster of our first row. Next we're going to take our yarn and we're going to do 3 double crochets, so a full cluster in the 3rd loop. So we skip one chain, we skip 2 chain, and then at 3rd chain we're going to do 3 double crochet, which makes 1 cluster. Alright, and you're going to do that for the entirety of this first row, and I'll see you when we're almost finished here. Alright, here we are, we're done with our first row. We should have a total of 10 clusters in your swatch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And for our last cluster, it will be in the very, very last chain, as you can see. And then this is where we're going to start adding our secondary color here. So my second color is going to be gray. Usually you'd have this on a whole ball. I took apart my original swatch, so that's why I have little pieces here. But when you're attaching this, to make it a little bit more secure, and so you don't have as much color bleeding through, we're going to take this second yarn and put it between your hook and your working color 1 yarn. You're gonna do a chain, you're gonna chain over that. Take your working yarn over, or put it over your white working yarn and your hook. Then you take your white working yarn, color 1 yarn, over, and make another chain. We're going to take our color 2 yarn, put it back to the rear, and then we're going to do 1 more chain in here, and we're going to secure that gray in. So when you make a border, it will make it a lot more secure. You will have to weave in some ends, but not very many. And then we're going to work in this first cluster, or our first space of, we're going to do a cluster of white. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, almost like a normal double crochet. However, right here, when we have our final 2 loops on our hook, that's where we're going to stop. And we're going to take our color 2 yarn, put it between the hook and our working yarn, and hold it above the hook there. Okay, we're going to yarn over and then pull through our final two. Okay, the reason we're doing it like this is so then we can keep the secondary color of yarn hiding in the white and it won't show through near as much, and you won't get any bleeding of colors, and it does make it easier in the end. So we're going to begin our second double crochet. First it's normal, and then we have our 2 loops on our hook. We're going to take our color 2 yarn, put it up in front and on top of everything. Going to yarn over and then pull through our the top 2 of our double crochet. We're going to do that again. Bring that over and up. Yarn over with white and pull through the last 2. And there we have our first cluster and our second row. Now we're going to change our color to the gray, or color 2 yarn. So we're going to wrap around our gray yarn and pull it through our loop, and then tighten up your white there. And we're going to do another chain. Okay. Now we're going to go into the second space, and then we're going to do another cluster with our color 2 yarn. So this is the first part of our double crochet. Here's where we're changing it up. We're going to take our color 1 yarn, do the same thing we did before. We're going to bring it over our hook. We're going to trap it in the top of this double crochet and then bring it back. Then we begin our second double crochet with our gray. Once we have the 2 loops on the hook, we bring the yarn to the front and over the hook. Yarn over and then pull through our last 2 and put your second color into the back again. And then here we're working on our third double crochet in our cluster. Yarn over. Everything's all normal. I'm going to take it, our white yarn, pull it over. We're going to secure it in that top of the stitch right there. Alright. So now you can see we have 2 clusters that are changing color here. Can't really see the gray and that white, and that's why we're doing it the way we are, is it makes the pattern reversible. You can't see any color bleeds. There is an easier way to carry yarn, and I'll post a link if you want to do that more simple way, but you may have color bleeds after that. But I will continue recording and I will keep going until we get to the end.
تساقط عليك رطبا جنيا فكلي واشربي وقري عينا فإما ترين من البشر أحدا فقولي إني نذرت للرحمن صوما فلن أكلم اليوم إنسيا فأتت به قومها تحمله قالوا يا مريم لقد جئت شيئا فريا يا أخت أسمع بهم وأبصر يوم يأتوننا لكن الظالمون اليوم في ضلال وأنذرهم يوم الحسرة إذ قضي الأمر وهم في غفلة وهم لا يؤمنون إنا نحن نرث الأرض ومن عليها وإلينا يرجعون واذكر في الكتاب إبراهيم إنه كان صديقا نبيا إذ قال لأبيه يا أبت لم تعبد ما لا يسمع ولا يبصر ولا يغني عنك شيئا يا أبت إني قد جاءني من العلم ما لم يأتك فاتبعني أهدك صراطا سويا يا أبت لا تعبد الشيطان إن الشيطان كان للرحمن عصيا يا أبت إني أخاف أن يمسك عذاب من الرحمن فتكون للشيطان وليا قال أراغب أنت عن آلهتي يا إبراهيم قال أراغب أنت عن آلهتي.
So here we are at the end of our second row. You can see we just continued the same pattern. White, gray, white, gray, white, gray, white, gray, white. And in this very last cluster, it should be your same color 1 yarn. And we are going to change our colors to the gray. Tighten it up. And when you do the color change, make sure you stitch an extra one before you go onto your clusters as well. And we are going to take and we're going to do 1 double crochet in the top of the 3rd chain over here. So 1, 2, 3. We're doing a double crochet, just 1 in here. And that is the finishing part of our first row. If you have extra color 1 yarn left over, feel free to clip that right now. You don't need too big of a tail. Alright, so then we're going to chain 3 of our color 2 yarn, so our gray. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to rotate. And in this row, it is going to be just this solid gray color all the way across in every single cluster, including this final space right here that will also be a cluster of 3 double crochets. So let's get to it. So when you're right here, try to keep your tail underneath your double crochets And in this first stitch, I forgot to add that the first chain 3 does count as a double crochet in this instance. Okay, so we can now continue on going.
وناديناه من جانب الطور الأيمن وقربناه نجيا ووهبنا له من رحمتنا أخاه هارون.
So when we're finished with our third row, it should look like this. You can start to see the diamond pattern taking place. And if you were wondering, in between these clusters, you do not add a chain 1 at all. You just keep on going to the next cluster. And here in row 3, at the end, we're gonna start changing our color to our third color. However, if you notice, the first stitch we're going to do right here in this space will be the third color, because we want gray right here to be the top of our diamond. So this one is going to be the next color, not the one we were just working with, but the following one. So how we're going to add this one in is we're just going to do a simple slip stitch to get it in here. Try to keep your ends all on one side if possible. So you just take it and bring it in, and you pull your gray kind of a little tighter. And now we're going to take our gray yarn, because we're still going to use it in our next row. You're going to put it to the back side, and you're going to work 1 chain. Then you're going to take your gray working yarn, bring it up and forward like when we were carrying it across the double crochets. I'm going to make another chain, put our gray yarn back to the back, and make a third chain with the orange. And now is when we rotate. I'm playing a little bit of yarn chicken here. If you haven't noticed yet, we're gonna see if I can keep going with this one strand of gray, adjust my tension possibly. So here we're just going to work with the orange yarn in this first cluster. So we go in, we pull through, over, pull through 2. We're going to take our gray yarn, put it over our hook, and we're going to finish our double crochet and put our gray yarn back. So let's do it again. Yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to yarn over, put it in the front of everything, yarn over, and pull through the last 2. And then put it back. Yarn over, put through, pull through 2, bring it forward, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And here we're going to switch to our gray yarn so we can get the top of that diamond in here. So you're going to yarn over, pull through the loop, tighten up your orange. We're going to do a chain. And then we're going to do our 3 double crochet into this second space with our gray, and we're still going to be carrying our orange yarn as normal. Okay. There you can see we have our first diamond in the gray. We're working with our orange yarn here still. We're going to keep doing this pattern all the way down to the end, and I will see you there. You can pause right now. I'm going to keep on crocheting. You can watch. And then I'll stop it when we get to the end here. So here we are near the end of our fourth row. As you can see, our last cluster stitch is our third and final color. We are going to change the color for this final stitch here, back to the gray. So for this final stitch, we'll change our color. And then this is going to be one double crochet in the top chain, original chain. So we have 1, 2, 3. If I can get it in there. And just one double crochet. And then you can cut your yarn. Leave a little bit of the tail so you can weave in whenever you're almost finished. And then this next row, row number 5, will be all orange, much like row number 1 was a straight color, and then row number 3 was also a straight color. Right? So let's get our orange back up here. Chain 1, 2, 3. Rotate. And then you're going to do 2 double crochets in this first space, and the 3 chain counts as the first double crochet. I did make a little bit of mistake there of changing my color over, but that's fine. And try to take your gray tail and put it up here with this and trap it underneath the bottom part of your double crochet. So that'll just make weaving ends in later easier for you. Alright, so we have our first cluster for our row 5 completed. Bring my straight tail, and then you just do 1 cluster of orange in every space, continuing on down. And I'll see you at the end of this row. Alright, so here we are at the end of our 5th row. You should have all orange of all of your third color. And then we're going to go back to our original first color, which was the white. Yeah, I so messed this one up. That's okay. This is actually my second video of this pattern. The first one I started and ended with gray. For some reason I started with white on this one, but that's okay. So remember, when you add your color, you're going to put your tail to the front here, working part of the yarn to the back. You're going to chain over it, tighten it up. You're going to take your working yarn, bring it over, hold it over your working yarn and your crochet hook, and then you're going to chain again. This just brings it up, as we talked about before. Bring it back, and then your third chain for the orange will be finished then. And then we rotate. Now you can see right here in our first stitch, we need the top of our diamond of our orange, so our first stitch will be orange. And we still carry the white yarn along with how we've been doing it with the past rows. You can keep doing this, alternating the colors of the orange and the white. Alright, and there we have our first diamond of our orange. Alright, I'm probably just gonna finish this swatch and then I'll see you back when I'm done. Just keep repeating these steps over and over. Pause, go back to the beginning and continue. And I will see you when I finish this swatch up. So because I did start this swatch on the wrong color, I was supposed to start it on gray, I started in white instead. And that's the remainder of my white. I'm gonna finish it right here, but basically it's just the same pattern over and over. Just keep replaying this video if you need to keep going back and getting help. This final row, the solid color 1 row, is exactly like the first row, so you can just go back, replay it, and keep on going. And I would appreciate it if we could go back to the original Turkish video. I'll post the link down in the description below. If I can figure out how to make a little bubble for you to hit something on the screen on the video to bring you to that link, I would appreciate it, just so we can give some credit to the original creator of the pattern. And if you guys have any other patterns that are in a different language or you have a hard time understanding, comment a link down below and maybe I will be able to help you out. And I hope you enjoyed this and it was useful to you. Right, have a nice day.